Picture yourself walking into your backyard and discovering a wedding planner, constructing a floral arch over your pool. Uninvited, unannounced, that's what occurred to me. I'm not joking, a woman I'd never met, Lane Carver, HOA president from the adjacent Ridgeview Heights, attempted to take over my pool for her daughter's wedding. No call, no note, no courtesy, just a full-on takeover when I told her to stop. She glared at me and said, "It's already underway." That's when I realized this wasn't your average nosy neighbor. This was an HOA tyrant, and I was in for a battle. It began on a peaceful Saturday. I'd made myself a steaming cup of coffee and sat down in my deck chair by the pool. The water glimmered in the morning light, jasmine flowered on the trellis, and a hummingbird flashed close to the feeder. A perfect scene. My backyard was my haven, constructed in 5 years. With my own 2 hands, all of the patio stones placed myself. The pool redone, using my savings flower beds, recreations of my grandmother's original design. It suited me, reflective, peaceful, intentional, and sat just out of Ridgeview Heights, HOA reach, which was just fine for me. I'd heard their petty rules: no wildflowers, no rowdy barbecues. I wanted none of that. Then a voice broke the tranquility. "Excuse me, are you the homeowner?" I turned to look at a woman at my yard's edge, rigid posture, lips, pursed, clipboard in hand, like a defensive shield. She had a blazer on a weekend. I recognized her right away. The Lane car, famous for discovering mismatched deck chairs and outlawing birdhouses. "Yeah, this is my house," I said. "Do you need my help?" She didn't smile, just moved in closer, too close, and attacked. "I'm with the Ridgeview Heights HOA. We've received complaints about your pool area. It's visible from our top lots and conflicts with our aesthetic: too bright, too tropical. We like muted colors. Think about a neutral privacy wall." I laughed a rail, gut laugh. She was on my property, criticizing my backyard for not being up to a neighborhood I never lived in. "I'm not in your HOA. He said, "You've got no say here." Elaine didn't blink. "Technically, no. But neighboring properties form a collective visual impact zone." I smirked. "You made that up." She gave a thin smile later, friend, and departed with a crisp, "We'll be in touch." I thought that was it, just another power trip. I was wrong. A week later, a letter came, official, looking from Elaine. It stated my pool was approved for Sophie Carver's wedding. Her daughter's, as a neighborly gesture, setup would begin Monday. No signature for me, just a stamp and dates. I thought it was a mix-up. So I called the number listed. Elaine replied, chipper. So glad you got it. I knew you'd sign off." "I didn't," I snapped it. "This isn't going down." She breathed, exasperated. "Invitations are out, and canceling would kill Sophie. Think of the optics, think of breaking and enter charge." I fired back. She said, "We'll discuss Monday," and hung up. Monday, I was prepared, deed in hand, no trespassing sign, nailed lawyer, friend Travis on speed dial, but nothing could have prepared me for what I saw. Trucks, caterers, a planner with headset fairy lights hung across my pergola tables, encircling my pool with linens and flowers. Classical music put the speakers to the test. Elaine stood in the center, arms crossed, smug. I marched up. "Stop this, now you're trespassing." She handed me a forged contract with my name. "We've made arrangements, you'll be paid. And we'll clean up, don't ruin Sophie's day." I glared at the phony signature, then her grin, and something snapped. Not anger, but a chill crystal plan. If she wanted a wedding here, she'd get one. She'd never forget. I nodded, turned, and walked in. Game on. Following morning, I concocted a plan: no shouting, no lawsuits, just ingenuity. Elaine wasn't merely overbearing, she was delusional, tampering with documents and ordering strangers, like a dictator. I worked with petty people, but this was next level. First, I established my legal footing. Travis, a relaxed real estate attorney, laughed when I laid it out. "She's nuts. No signature, no case document, everything. Photos, videos. If she steps back in, call the sheriff." I installed cameras around the Gates pool and yard, plus a motion-activated floodlight for flare. That afternoon, a truck dropped off a wedding arch, white metal lights, fake flowers. The driver said, "Elaine Carver ordered it. Said you're her cousin," and okay. And I shook my head, loaded back up. "This is trespassing." He did, but Elaine sent another letter. Non-compliance with community event standards would result in lawsuits for emotional distress. Travis texted a laughing emoji, "Cease and desist, or fun first." Fun one. I saw Elaine parading with HOA cronies waving like we were pals. One requested to utilize my bar for the cake. They were serious and clueless. I quit arguing, smiled and said, sure, whatever you need, I'd give them a wedding my way. I phoned Maggie, my cousin X. Phone party pro, how much bubble solution for a pool explosion? She cackled, gave me a supplier. In a ratio, I purchased 6 gallons of industrial, non-toxic suds. I called Luke, a Pion filter whiz, to hack my pool pump for bubbles without burning it out. He rigged it with a timer for 3 nights. I prepared daytimes. I behaved being nice and letting the planner scope sights and nodding at Elaine's raws and cocktail rants. Watching tables and chairs line up, I offered lemonade. Let a groomsman take a nap in my hammock. Behind the scenes, I stashed drums of solution by the shed. Wired the pump, set the timer for noon. Saturday ceremony, start Friday. Elaine strutted by pleased. We'll be gone by 7. You won't notice. I smiled, hope it's perfect. She sashayed off clueless. That night I checked everything. Cameras, rolling timer, locked neighbors. Tipped off some hated Elaine too. A few brought snacks to watch a kid bet she'd fall in solidarity brood Saturday. My yard was a wedding set, garlands on fences, lights in trees. A quartet, warming up guests. SI mimosas I observed from within, coffee in hand. Calm before the storm. At 11:59 I ascended to the porch. Elaine waved smilingly. I lifted my mop. Then the pump vibrated. The pool rippled, foam accumulated. Then burst bubbles surged, overflowing, engulfing chairs and pedals. Guests gasped. One shrieked. Sophie appeared in her gown, jaw-dropping as foam enveloped her stage. The quartet became motionless. Elaine whirled face R, stomping towards me, but slipped heel flying into the suds. Children laughed, grown-ups stared, phones captured foam, hit the cake, 3 tears fell like a ship. Elaine arrived at my porch, yelling sabotage, harassment, emotional terrorism. I sipped. Coffee cameras capturing it all. You're on my property having uninvited guests with a phony contract. I said, this pool's mine, so are the bubbles, you want it clean. Have fun, lavender foam. She stared agog, guests ran foam, sticking to dresses and shoes. Sophie stood soaked, defeated the lane. Attempted the cops, calling it as soap ambush. An officer came, looked at the mess and demanded, why is there a wedding here without authorization? I produced the deed sign. Voicemail he exhaled at AEIN. You're fortunate he are not charging you, she stormed off, threatening lawsuits. The fiasco went viral, photos of foam, the cake L's shoe in the deep end. A TikTok opera remix hit thousands of views. Neighbors dubbed me a legend that evening, my yard filled with lavender, pieces restored. Sunday, Elaine came back frazzled, blaming me for destroying her life. I asked why not just ask. She scoffed. Permission was beneath her. I made a sheriff's report. Trespassing forgery footage was included. Sheriff Holt called it the dumbest case in 20 years, but airtight Elaine held an HOA meeting, claiming I intimidated the community. It backfired. Grace Miller, a board member, called her out. Forgery and overreach were indefensible. Others, guests, griped. Viral shame spread. The board removed her unanimously. She sued me. Distress defamation. Travis responded with her crimes, demanding an apology and shelter donation. She folded a week later. Her house was on the market. She moved quietly, gone for good. Good. I had a barbecue. New HOA people came. Burgers grilled, no foam. My sign said, welcome to my pool. No HOA, just bubbles peace. Held a quiet triumph. Elaine attempted Maple Grove afterwards, but their HOA hammered her for gnomes. My yard remained mine, a lesson in holding tight with suds.